Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. President Trump electrified conservatives at their annual retreat in suburban Washington today. His speech read like a greatest hits from the campaign trail: tax cuts and the economy, immigration, and the current chart topper, school safety, the Second Amendment, and guns. The crowd there at CPAC seemed to love every minute of the 1 hour, 14-minute speech. President Trump unplugged, but big policy changes also ran the day. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight on the North Lawn. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. No question there was a lot in the president's speech, but there was one curious omission: his support for raising the minimum age to buy a rifle from 18 to 21. The National Rifle Association, a big sponsor of CPAC, is firmly opposed to that idea. But there was one proposal that the president floated that had him in lockstep with his base today. At the Conservative Political Action Conference, President Trump doubled down on his calls for qualified teachers or staff to be armed and trained to respond in the event of a school shooting.
Well-trained, gun-adept teachers and coaches and people that work in those buildings, people that were in the Marines for 20 years and retired, people in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, people that are adept with weaponry and with guns.
President Trump insists that the gun-free zones that describe most American schools are an invitation for killers to pounce, and that the best way to deter school shootings is to let potential killers know if they enter, they will be met with a hail of return fire.
It's concealed. So this crazy man who walked in wouldn't even know who it is that has it. That's good. It's not bad. That's good. And a teacher would have shot the hell out of him before he knew what happened.
The proposal was met with derision by Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, a frequent critic of the president.
Half-cocked, harebrained, really toxic lunacy is the way to describe the idea of arming 10 to 40% of all the teachers in this country.
And from the president of the teachers union yesterday, teachers don't want to be armed, we want to teach. No amount of training can prepare an armed teacher to go up against an AR-15. On his way to CPAC, President Trump was also critical of the Broward Sheriff's deputy who stayed outside Douglas High School instead of running toward the unfolding carnage inside.
But that's the case where somebody was outside, they're trained, they didn't react properly under pressure, or they were cowards. It was a real shot to the police department.
Another reason, the president said, to have teachers defend the students, because they're far more invested in the children's welfare.
These teachers love their students, and I'd rather have somebody that loves their students and wants to protect their students than somebody standing outside that doesn't know anybody and doesn't know the students.
In addition to school shootings, President Trump today zeroed in on another threat, announcing the biggest package of sanctions yet against North Korea, targeting 27 companies, 28 ships, and one individual for smuggling fuel and other supplies to support North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Appearing in the East Room with Australia's Prime Minister, President Trump issued another sharp warning to North Korea.
If the sanctions don't work, we'll have to go phase two. And phase two may be a very rough thing. May be very, very unfortunate for the world.
And with today the day a number of White House staffers were set to lose their interim security clearance, President Trump weighed in on the fact son-in-law Jared Kushner is still operating without his full security clearance.
We inherited a system that's broken. It's a broken system, and it shouldn't take this long. So that'll be up to General Kelly. General Kelly respects Jared a lot, and General Kelly will make that call. I won't make that call. I will let the general, who's right here, make that call.
Sources tell Fox News tonight that the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein telephoned White House counsel Don McGahn 2 weeks ago to say that Jared Kushner's security clearance file would not be completed by the deadline today, that there were still some outstanding issues that required further investigation. But we are told tonight from White House officials that Jared Kushner still maintains his interim security clearance. Brett?
You know, John, you heard the president saying General Kelly will make that call, the chief of staff. All the talk about whether General Kelly is staying or going, what is the inside scuttlebutt?
The inside scuttlebutt is that his job is safe. You know, one person told me a while ago, if you're Bill Belichick and you have a player who stays out until 4 o'clock in the morning and you bench him, if that player were to be Tom Brady, that player would not get benched. And I'm told that around here, John Kelly is Tom Brady.
Good analogy. All right, John, thank you.